What's your net reading, Mr. Sanyal, as we start this broadcast? Because you've got on the one side an official recession kicking in as per the technical definition of what constitutes a recession. On the other side, we see some nascent green shoots of economic recovery. How do you assess the Indian economy at this stage of us dealing with this pandemic and recession?
Well, I mean, the technicality of a recession was known. We have known that during the lockdown, particularly the quarter of April to June, things were in a complete lockdown. So obviously that had an impact on the economy. We had no choice about doing it for health reasons, but we did it knowing fully well that there would be a price to pay. The following quarter, which is the July to September quarter, we opened things up. So yes, it won't be as severe as the previous quarter. So I think you will see a number coming down, but it was still likely negative number in terms of a year-on-year GDP growth. So yes, technically a recession, but I think the interesting thing here is that as we have opened up step by step, we have seen those parts of the economy that have been opened up coming back quite strongly. So you have in August some shoots coming up, but then green shoots coming up, but then you have September and October numbers very definitely showing momentum, and I think even the very early numbers for November showing momentum. So I think whether it's you know all the numbers, whether it's the Purchasing Managers Index, the electricity consumption, the movement of freight trains, and so on, all the numbers suggest a significant recovery. Of course, this is not to suggest that there aren't sectors where there's still a lot of difficulty. Entertainment, travel, hospitality, those are sectors that are only now just about getting opened up. So those sectors still haven't really gotten the stride. But I would say that, given how tough things have been, we are looking quite good.
Now, this whole business of opening up the economy more and more carries with it the flip risk of the pandemic spreading faster. And we've seen this happen in Europe, we've seen it happen in the United States and in some parts of India, where doctors are saying the more you loosen things up, open up the economy, start going back to normal, the faster the virus spreads. So how are you in government dealing with this double-edged sword? You want the economy to bounce back, you want markets to open, you want people to go shopping, and yet at the same time, as that happens, people kind of become more careless about the pandemic and the COVID numbers start skyrocketing again. We're seeing that in Delhi, for example.
So you're absolutely right. We are not out of the woods yet. You mentioned US and Europe, and absolutely, the second wave in these places has been much, much worse than the first wave. In fact, conditions are much worse in Europe than they are in India, for example. So it is something to be concerned about, and the Prime Minister took time out to go out and make this very point just a couple of weeks ago. So yes, we are opening things up. This is not because we do not see the risk, but on the other hand, we have to take the call, one, not just on the economy, but also recognizing that, there are hot spots. Delhi seems to be becoming one, and we need to be able to handle this in a localized way. Shutting down the country in a general sense is probably not something we would like to do if we can avoid it. So I would argue where we can take localized steps. Also remember, our response to the health risk is also improved in the sense that, yes, while it is spreading, I would argue that death rates have continued to be quite low. So to give ourselves some credit as well, I do think that our medical fraternity have become a lot better as far as dealing with extreme cases than they were before. So both of that suggests that the worst is well behind us. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods, you're right, but it does mean that the worst is behind us.